Yes?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried.
With protest. And you can put that in the minutes if you feel better.
All right, I think the next thing is the long-term planning. The four of you have not heard about this yet, you're hearing about it for the first time, but I think the discussions here, this morning tell you why this needs to take place. I've had preliminary conversations with Dennis, and that is to say within the last probably 5 days or something like that. And I told him I would bring this up, but we really need to start to sit down and really prioritize where we're gonna go. And that's everything from FTEs to, you know, what our priorities are in our various departments to, okay, failure to address this is going to lead to circumstances like we're dealing with, whether it's with the road department or now with the health district or what have you, where this is just gonna get bigger and bigger and bigger till you get to the point where some of you may no longer be on this commission at that particular point in time, but whoever else is left here is not gonna be a pleasant experience. We're gonna have to address this and figure out where we're trying to get to. It's virtually an impossibility to have whomever it is come in here and sit down and say, I gotta have this, and you say, well, okay. Whether it's a new blade or a new plow truck or a new cop car or a new software or a new whatever it is, a new roof on this building, okay? Every one of those things is part of that. Okay, and what was full FTE in 2006 really doesn't matter today. Okay, so that's where we're going with this. This is something I think we need to start as soon as possible and hopefully have some kind of goal with finishing by the time spring rolls around here to have an idea of where are we headed? What are we trying to do here?
I think I mentioned this to Dennis a couple times ago, and it only referred to the road department in this particular case as to long-term, having a brainstorming session and to define brainstorming, come up with any kind of idea, some of them being goofy and some not, as to how we can improve this, you know, long-term, and then go from there. My suggestion would be to set aside, I agree with this, and it's too big of an issue to have it at a regular county meeting. We need to have a special meeting, maybe need 2 of them, maybe need 3 of them, to only address long-term planning or modifications of specific services. You can call it what you want.
You know, what direction we're gonna go with basically.
Correct. But I would suggest a special meeting or meetings in December, January, in that time frame, specifically for that.
And we might have to have some really radical ideas because, you know, road department, for instance, maybe we don't blade township roads anymore. You know, I mean.
Well,
radical.
that's that brainstorming
Yeah.
session. You
I'm
know,
not proposing that.
No,
Don't
right.
write that down, but anyway.
Oh, I've got it.
What's happening?
I know it.
You get up to Cavalier County, they don't need,
I think along with what fits in with this is, Stan, what you brought up is we cannot ignore enhanced revenue. We got our windmill partners, that's one thing, but there's other things that are happening in the state that we have to keep an open mind for.
Right.
If we can get them incorporated in our county. Anything else on that, Dan?
No.
Anybody got any other questions? Stan, that's a good point there. Okay, sick leave benefits, you had something that you think needs a little change.
Okay, I just put the policy in your packet. And so when we talk about sick leave, obviously we're talking about used for illness or the illness of significant others. The way this is worded though really creates a problem, and that's why I bring it to your attention. So if we look at that second paragraph under the bullet points, presently right now it reads, an eligible employee may use sick leave benefits for an absence due to illness or injury sustained by either that employee or a direct isn't in there, or a family member who resides in the employee's household. Okay, well, I can't remember the last time my parents were both deceased, but when's the last time I resided with them? I would say that was in 1984, okay? And they had a lot of needs following that before their passing. So we talked about this ad nauseum. The age of our employee group is such that I'm not one of them, but many of them have their parents, or might have a child who is now out of high school or what have you. They have health issues. A perfect example of this would be, right now we have an employee who's gone with a spouse. Okay, that's covered. What if they were divorced? Okay, what if it was a child in the family, and that child was on their own but was 24 years old? Okay, these are problems with the way this is written, and I think it should be written this way. That same first portion, an eligible employee may use sick leave benefits for an absence due to illness or injury sustained by either that employee or a direct family member, and that is defined as parent, spouse, or child. It's not in-laws, it's not, okay, parent, spouse, or child, period. Whether they live with you or don't live with you. That would be a normal policy, suggesting that they have to live in the same household as you. I'm not gonna lie to you. I never knew that was in there, and I'm the one who rewrote a lot of this stuff. I copied and pasted the part so we didn't correct, but in my estimation, this needs to change. So the portion that's at the bottom, I think, can be entirely deleted. I would be one of these that never used any sick leave that would have qualified for this. But I've never heard of such a thing. Regular full-time employees who do not use any sick leave benefits during the year will be granted one paid personal day off. None of our employee group has ever talked about this, has ever referenced this, and if they had, I'd probably went, what the hell are you talking about? Okay, so it would be my recommendation we make change to this policy as recommended. And if you have questions, by all means, have it.
I agree with that. Is there a motion to?
I'll make a motion that we change it.
Both of them, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Motion made by Boone to revise the sick benefit leave benefits. Is there a second? Brian Miller, second. Any discussion?
I have some brief discussion, that's all right. I was just curious, Dan, is there any kind of estimate as to what kind of cost this would have? Would it have a significant?
I don't think it would have any cost impact, only in that, unlike a school, for example, we don't hire substitutes. So,
Okay.
you have a
The
finite
only
amount of
reason I
leave.
asked about it was because I'm pretty sure that the way that the state does it for state employees, not county level employees, is that it's financial dependence, and also they live in a house with you, but I don't believe that there's anything specifically prohibited from doing that.
I don't believe there would be any.
Okay.
Any other discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Are we up to the recorder?
Yeah. Let's open that up for discussion.
I think, make a motion, get it seconded, get it on the floor.
Yeah, there should be a motion in a second.
I will be the bad guy. I make a motion, we make it an appointed position.
Motion made by Brian to make the recorder's office a appointed position. Is there a second? second?
Well, for the sake of discussion, I'll second it.
Brian second. Now the discussion. I think number one, you gotta clear up the fact that if it becomes a point, if it gets voted in, that job still gets opened up for anybody that wants to apply for it.
Including the deputy that's there.
Absolutely,
Okay.
anybody.
Anybody.
Yeah.
Everyone's gotta go through the process.
That seems to be a misdemeanor on it. I wasn't sure which way to go for it, but the last couple of days I got some emails that just plain ticked me off, accusing us of all kinds of crap. That just pretty much changed my mind. That's ridiculous. I've talked to a lot of people about this, and people that know things or think it's a no-brainer to do this. But we've got a group of people just think that we're doing the wrong thing all the time. Ticks me off.
I made several phone calls to different people and different entities, you know, a pretty good spectrum group.
Yeah.
And I explained the situation, and said, well, it's a no-brainer. Because they said, and a lot of these people have been on boards, okay, so they understand the game, and they told me, they said, we would go for the appointment for the simple reason to keep the service proper. And I'm gonna say this, and this is what decided me. When I came on in the commission, I didn't know much about the recorder, and that was my portfolio. And I started learning what actually happens in the recorder's office. There's very much serious stuff that happens there.
Better believe it.
And so, my concern is this, is if we would have an elected one, nothing against them, get a different elected one, and a year into it, there's a lot of wrecks in recording and different stuff, because there's a lot of stuff happening with titles right now. Then we wouldn't be able to do anything for 3 years. Yes, we could do something, but here's the point. If we go through the process of a point of, you know, interviewing people, and do some background check and whatever, I would hope we could find someone that has the capabilities, that can do the job, and is willing to understand that if there's problems, we will deal with them. And I think, for as far as the county's best interest goes, when you're looking at a county and the amount of land that's titled, you look at the houses, you look at all this stuff, and one of the things I did not understand is, in the recorder's office, when bankruptcies happen, there's issues, and they go according to stuff that is recorded. In marriages, in divorces, in child, who gets the children, all that has got a lot to do with the recorder's office, because stuff is recorded there. And so, that's why I'm an advocate for this, because we are trying to help the taxpayers of our county to the best of our ability, as far as landowners and all things go. So, take it from there.
Passports and everything is.
Right, that's another one. Yep.
Right.
You know, we gotta realize we're different than Burley County, Cass County, Ward County, whatever. They've probably got a ton of people that could be really qualified to run for this position. We're protecting the department by
Exactly.
doing this, I believe. And not that, you know, we're not trying to take people's votes away, but we're trying to protect the department and the people of Wells County. You guys got any comments?
Well, yeah, I gotta support my position too. You know, first off, I appreciate the individuals who give their input. And here's the thing. When it comes to an election in a perfect world, you'd like 2 qualified candidates to run for an election.
Yeah.
And for a position who are qualified. Sadly, in the Wells counties of the world, that doesn't occur. When's the last time you had a contested election, 2 qualified people for a position? I don't think any of you can name the last time. One person runs, you don't have a choice anyway, okay? Like Doc says, and Brian, and I'm not gonna rehash what they said, I'll agree with both what they said, was that in the Burley and Cass counties of the world, there's lots of people qualified, and that's a great offense to the fact that I heard comments saying we're trying to stonewall people or ignore people's rights, or it's a good old boys club and all this, that we have some secret agenda here, which is just ridiculous, okay? If this position opens up, okay, and this happens, okay, there's an interview process, it's public information, people know who's applying. I'd even recommend that in the future, we have a community member or two to be on this interviewing process to find the right person for whatever position it is, okay?
So
They have inputs into who they think would be the best person. It isn't like it's some secret covert operation that we're trying to get someone in a position. That's just not false. So, or that's just not true. So in turn, I guess that's where I'm coming from.
That's very good. Brian, you got anything?
Not much been said, I guess.
Weeks all been, maybe get some other people in other than us, just us 5 commissioners for the interviews.
Kind of like the zoning board.
That's just,
Right.
You gotta keep in mind, this is not gonna happen till, not this December, but next week, December, so first will affect that following
27.
summer, right, December. So this is a whole year away. Hopefully, there's people that notice this and will start inquiring about that now.
Right.
A couple of positions that we did appoint, we didn't have anybody apply except the people that got those jobs. Your
Well,
student was one,
there were applicants there too. There were applicants.
but Laura's wasn't.
Lawrence, there was none.
And, so, anyway, any other discussion?
The problem will be the same for the state's attorney position. I mean, I fully intend to run for election. It's my position here. We all know what my general plan is, but in the absence of me, well, I mean, I would put it to the people who brought up the issues to you guys. If people don't like me, the recourse is to wait for 4 years and then convince another attorney to move to Wells County and run, with all due respect. You know, a little bit harder. If, for example, and I'm using my position as an example of what there might potentially be, not saying you necessarily have to do this, but if it were an appointed position subject to you guys reviewing their work, and there were a number of people of the same type as reached out to you and said, hey, Mr. Bromke is doing a terrible job, or whatever, I'm sure you do, but, you know, for the sake of argument. If you got enough of them and there was some kind of, you know, real dialogue that you could have, that gives, you know, in a sort of not very common sense way, more power to the individual voters to decide who occupies the seat. You know, I understand the idea of the democratic process being the most important, you know, the voting process, you know, people being elected according to fair and free elections. I really do get that. But for county positions like this where you don't have other qualified applicants and you're hamstrung into accepting somebody who you don't like,
They still do have a right. They don't like, they vote us out of here, get us out of here.
yeah, I certainly wouldn't think this way if I was on the Burley County Commission. I wouldn't say the voters have the right there. But, yeah, in your case, is a fine example. In the perfect world, we should have 3 lawyers running for that office. Wouldn't that be great? Campaign, they could talk about that. Is that gonna happen?
No.
I'll try my best to get him to come out here.
Yeah, I know.
No.
You're right.
You know, thanks for your input on that, because we go to a 6 county meeting, and this has been discussed a lot, because a lot of them can't get a state's attorney. So they've changed, a lot of them have already changed that to appointed, so they can reach way out and get one. So,
Anyway,
What company?
or 6 county meeting, they get one and they lose them to Cass County.
Right. Get a little experience and go on there.
Yeah.
My question would simply be this, and we'll use my office. How would my office be different whether I was appointed or elected? Okay, I'm statutorily required to take these properties back and sell them at auction. whether I'm elected or appointed, doesn't make any difference.
By your job description, doesn't it?
Yeah. So what difference in the grand scheme of things does that make?
Difference is, if you were elected, you would not show up for work and we couldn't do anything about it.
That's right. And you could decide after this meeting's over that I'm done right now. You could.
Because you're appointed.
Right, I don't know for the cameras out there, people realize that if you're in an elected position, the definition of your job requirement is you need to run your office in an efficient manner.
Yeah.
You never have to go to work. Ever.
I think,
As long as you run your office in an efficient manner, we'll define that. I'm not misquoting here,
No,
right?
you're
I
right,
mean,
no,
that's-
you're right,
You're right.
I've read the
Yeah.
same thing.
that's right.
That's
We have a
why,
little problem with that in that when we hear complaints and we'll pass it on to an elected official sometimes,
Never do.
and
that.
most of the time they're conscientious and will try to abide by it and change it and that. They don't have to. They do not have to. I would call for the vote.
Stand call vote,
Roll call.
roll
Need
call
another
vote.
roll
We'll start
call.
with Brian Miller. Brian, aye. Sam?
Aye.
Boone? Aye.
aye,
Unanimous vote, motion carried.
Okay. Next item on here is a memorandum of understanding between Wells County and the North Dakota Secretary of State's office regarding election equipment and best practices for storage, use, administration, et cetera, for that particular equipment. We are abiding by all of those things, and all 53 counties though are being asked to do this. So my recommendation, you approve the MOU as drafted, and we'll sign it and get it back to them.
Okay, motion? So motion made by Boone, is there
Now
a
you guys
second?
are anxious to do vote.
Second.
Second, Brian Miller.
Brian loves sleeping.
Oh, no, he had one. He had
I'm sorry, this
he had
one.
the last one.
I got the most important one, the one that everybody can be mad at.
Oh.
No other discussion, motion carried. You, want me to sign this one, Ben?
Yeah, go ahead, you got one there. Actually, sorry, you got a staple here, so I gotta sign this.
Yeah, you gotta do that.
That looks like your signature.
Okay, what's with the, who was our fair delegate?
Right
Brian, don't you wanna do that anymore? Oh,
I'll make a motion, we reappoint Brian Loud as a state.
I think it's like a 2-year.
okay,
I
is
think.
there a second?
I'll second it.
Second, motion made second, any discussion on it, if you're willing to do it, that sounds good, any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried,
That's
Brian
a
Miller,
15 second.
delegate.
And then we still have one item from our added list. What is the heck? is it?
Garrison diversion.
Garrison diversion.
Well, real quick, I don't know where to go with this, but, I forgot his name. Dave Gertz called me, and he really feels that there's some viable options for using the Garrison diversion and the Garrison, the canal, and they are willing to give it away. His contention was there could be some income enhancing by people tiling into it, and that is perfectly legal, and Garrison diversion is receptive to that. That's all I got. He just said, bring it up at your next meeting, and you need to be mindful of that, because we're in this together. Obviously, they're not gonna give away, the half of the Rockwood Canal. I got some real questions with it in that, you gotta have some income revenue source, because if you look at us, or ours, there's no land associated with it. There's a couple pumps that need to be run on it long term,
Right.
and who cuts the road ditches? I mean, there's some costs
Oh, yeah.
involved in having it, And if nobody wants it, and it's not good for something,
My question is, if you start pumping water down there, how much is gonna seep, because that liner is wrecked.
well, they say it's not.
Oh. I've made hail on there for.
Well, the walls are wrecked, but the floor, and I don't
No,
know
I'm not talking
because,
about the floor, but there's places where, it's 20 feet
Walls
high.
wash down into it.
Yeah, it's 20 feet high, and that whole thing was kind of full, it could probably seep. I'm not saying it's going to, I'm just saying, but the idea of sending the water down, the other question is, will they let you dump it into the James?
yeah,
Larry,
yeah. it will.
if they were to pump water into the
Sure.
Rockford Canal,
Bert said that.
okay,
There's a pipe 2 miles east of where the canal goes into the James where,
who has to okay that?
well, Garrison Diversion, you'd have to have a written memorandum of understanding that that could be done.
Don't you have to deal with the state water board on that too? Dump
Uh,
it into a river?
I'd be careful with that one.
Yes.
I'd be careful with that.
Well, I'm just,
Be
don't
inquiring
be the
ahead of time.
messenger here, I'm just
Yeah, because
saying,
DEQ could get involved with that. You might have a piece of property that's totally worthless.
Right.
well, right, and my big question was, if the land associated with the canal would go with it, then it's a different story, because there's all kinds of land,
Oh, yeah, I
corners.
would imagine
and
it would be.
No,
What?
they were saying no, it was
Oh,
deeded,
oh,
or
oh, oh.
they wasn't sure, but that it went to North Dakota Game and Fish. I thought North Dakota Game and Fish only managed it, they weren't sure. Hobart, when he was here, wasn't sure.
There's a whole bunch of questions.
Alright,
How long ago was he here? I feel like it was June-ish,
it was what?
like in June or
Oh,
so.
Yeah,
last year.
yeah,
Have they officially suggested they're looking for a taker?
according to Gertz, and I don't know, I think they reached out to him, or their commission now, he got designated to be like the lead man on going into the details. But I guess he suggested that they obviously aren't gonna do anything unless we do.
Cause I feel like I was seeing some kind of public offer, or, you know what I mean?
Well, and I don't get this in that why they want to give it to public entity and not just put it out on bids.
Well, I thought that's what they said they were going to do to start with.
They wanted to keep it whole though,
Right,
instead of breaking it
But
up.
Larry, would they require, water analysis before they let us dump that?
Into the river?
no.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I mean, that.
Oh, but you can tile into the river now and there's no water analysis, that's.
Yeah, but you're looking at a larger pool when you start,
Yeah,
you
'cause
know.
you send that water from 20, 30 miles away.
Yeah.
But we aren't gonna get any answers. I would recommend we try to invite Kip back and then maybe,
Yeah.
and, get some questions.
Get some
answered.
facts on that.
Well, more details, I
Facts and more details, right, Larry?
Most definitely.
would be the land associated with it. If
Like
there's-
Larry.
if the land is
Well, then
associated,
you have-
that's a
like
different
you
deal.
too.
Then you got some revenue.
Then you have some revenue.
But at one time, they said it was the whole canal, buildings and all. There's
Yeah.
buildings in Rockford.
Oh, yeah, they're still saying that.
And Eddie County would get those.
Yeah. But I'm just saying, before you get excited about anything, if you wanna dump water in the James, I'd ask that question way before you do anything else.
Well, there's water that goes into the James.
I know, but it's.
From the
it's-
canal.
you still have to get the blessing.
Well, right, you'd have to have that in
Well,
right.
there's a whole bunch of questions.
Right.
Anyway, that's enough, that's
Okay.
all.
Anything else for the good of the order here? Yeah, you got anything else?
I'll just let you know, I guess I already told you this morning, the Festival Hall project is completed, although we're waiting for the replacement of that one window that arrived broken, as well as, replacement of the front doors. I'll also let you know, we have open enrollment, for benefits coming up in the month of November. There's a strong possibility that we'll be changing employee vision insurance, which is not currently subsidized by the county, so it has no impact on you, but, those are some things that, you want to know.
Okay.
any discussions about, potential overhauls to how the county works with respect to making sure it's within budget. I would just maybe do a little bit of digging into exactly how much the taxpayer stands to gain. For example, I'm not suggesting it, offices were consolidated or otherwise made appointed if you're trying to avoid a lengthy search for qualified applicants. I don't know whether that personnel side is really what is driving costs or if it's more the other stuff.
Well, you know, employee salary and benefits usually is your number one
That's what I think.
expense, but we have something different with our road department and so on. And, obviously, construction has gone a certain kind of crazy in terms of cost, so.
I've tried to do what I can by just cutting down the office to just me, but you know, can't say that that's.
You're doing your part, you understand?
Okay. We need a motion to adjourn, can we just adjourn? So moved. Second. Motion, meeting adjourned.
I'm not sleeping anymore, boy. I'm not sleeping.
This is early enough, it's early enough that I'm buying dinner.
Yeah, I did last time in your place.
I know.
I got four. We did by two. And the thing was not-
Oh my God. Did your car ever cool off?
No, but about every year.
Okay, let's go.
Well, there were two dollars that we got wrong. No, it's in the next one.